morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my patrons out there who have committed to this journey with walking with me. I appreciate your attention. Today's session is about godparents and the necessity of godparents. There is a misnomer within the community, the quote-unquote conscious community, about acquiring information and being able to apply it by individually. This is a grave mistake when entering into African spirituality. African spirituality first requires community, and in community we have elders, and in having elders we have people who have experience and who have ritual knowledge that they pass on to us. It is a grave mistake for one to think that they can read a book and have some sort of comprehensive knowledge of Orisha, because Orisha is not an idle tradition. So it is very important that one must have a godparent. Now, we use this word godparent, godmother, godfather. It is a euphemism that we acquired through the modern language of, one having a religious parent. I would necessarily argue that the godparent is more of a spiritual navigator. They can tell you which way to go, but you still have choice in which direction that you would like to go in. And so this spiritual navigator, you are putting your destiny in their hands for this person to essentially guide you to find the proper information that will enable you to better your situation. When dealing with godparents, one must understand that the person who you choose on this journey to navigate you is not perfect. They have a saying in Cuba. They said, "Todo mundo es defecto." The whole world is defective, and so no one is perfect. And so this is the first realization one must come to when choosing a godparent. Now, this becomes convoluted due to a lot of us having poor relationships with parents and family members, and so people are looking for another family, and they're using a blueprint or a stencil that does not apply here. Your godparent is not perfect. They are not a guru. They are not we use the word priest, but it is a word that is just thrown around. The person who you choose to learn from in this journey, you are learning from them purely based on their experience and their earnesty to explain whether or not they have the information, and the earnesty to allow you to go and find the information and bring it back to them if it is information that they have not seen pertinent to go and discover. This relationship should first be one of respect, so that the person that is guiding you, you give them the proper respect due to the fact that they are doing a charitable work by even allowing you to walk with them on their journey. And so a certain amount of respect is given. Now, until the godparent proves detrimental to your existence, then you necessarily keep that respect at a high altitude for this person until they prove to be improficient or egotistical in dealing with you, the said God child. It's very important that we understand that these people have their own hang-ups. They have their own ita, as we say, their own spiritual outline that they must follow, that it is a struggle for them to accept as well. So you use them for a means of direction and navigation, but also as an example. Because you may have a godparent and your godparent was told to not marry a certain person, and then they married the person anyway, and then they're dealing with marital issues. It is an example for you to see the pitfalls of not adhering to the advice that was given to one in a consultation. It is not to be judgmental to these people, because again, they are allowing you to take this journey with them, which is a very intimate journey, a very personal journey. So you have a certain amount of respect. The relationship should not be garnered based off of prices and money. The responsibility of the santero, the olorisha, or the orisha priest, is to assist the world. Now, they must be compensated because things cost money, and time is money in this reality. So if someone takes their time from them to come home from work and allow you to fill their home and ask questions and learn, there is a certain amount of respect that one must give, because these people are allowing you in their homes. See, it's the equivalent of a church, due to the fact that their home is their shrine. So if they allow you in their home, they're allowing you into their shrine as well as into their intimate living situation. So in doing so, it is important that one acknowledges this, that this person could be doing something else. They could be watching TV, they could be acquiring other means of income, or just spending time with their children. So when they take this time, we acknowledge that this time is very valuable, and we acknowledge that the person could be doing other things as opposed to guiding the novice. Secondly, when dealing with someone, you want to deal with someone who has a multitude of outlets. So if you have a priest who you never see them with any other priest, you should be suspicious, because this tradition requires community. It requires cooperation. So if you came to see them and every time they did a ceremony for you, it was just them, you should be a little bit concerned, because there are certain things that I may be able to conduct for someone, but other things must be procured in other positions, or tasks must be allotted to other people. And so they must be paid for their time in participating in your sacrifice or whatever ceremony that it is necessary for one to embark in. And so in the modern world, we pay people for their time. But if you find the godparent has no flexibility in terms of your finances, that your godparent is aware that you may not be working, and they give you a price that is unreasonable, that makes this acquisition of such ceremony or such icon unreachable, then you should necessarily rethink the relationship, because this relationship may be based purely on a monetary value or gain from this person, and that is not the fundament of the godparent position or task. So if you find this person and they always got a high price and they cannot be flexible, they're not trying to find ways to cut corners for that in terms of cost for you to acquire something that is integral for your elevation or your advancement, you should be very wary of said people. When it comes to judging people, someone's ritual knowledge has nothing to do with their life. This is not a business class where it says, well, why should I listen to you because you're not a millionaire? This is not the case. Some people are brought here to channel information. Some people are here to discover information. Other people are here to disseminate information. Do not fall into the Christian Judeo concept of this person is supposed to be pious and they are supposed to not engage in any ulterior activities, you are sadly mistaken. Some of the best santeros in the world were drug addicts in the United States. Some of the best santeros were gangsters. Some of the best santeros were gangsters in Cuba, were loan sharks, pimps, prostitutes, thieves. But these people have a moral compass when it comes to their tradition and their interaction with God. It is not any of our right nor ability to judge those who, because as Malcolm X pointedly said, we cannot judge a man until we know every ingredient that went into the soup that is him. And so your godparent may be struggling with emotional issues that are of none of your concern. And so you would only ask them to assist them, whether it be health or financially, right? Because it is a community. But it is not a chance to take to where one becomes judgmental of one's godparent, where one becomes, where you switch positions in terms of authority. This is not the case. The person that you choose for your godparent is someone that you respect, and you respect them for their ethereal and esoteric perspective. Okay? So that we do not mix apples and oranges. Success in one man's world is another man's pitfalls. And so we accept the fact that there are some people who may want to live meagerly. They may want to live without a whole lot of fanfare and a whole lot of social interaction. But they have information that they can apply and teach. And so we praise them, and we create atmospheres for those people to disseminate the information, but we do not judge. This goes into when people speak about people's sexual preferences in terms of priests. A lot of men, black men, have an issue with dealing with homosexual men. And from a very raw perspective, I don't care what another man does with his penis or another woman does with their vagina. Do as you please. What you do care about is the integrity of someone, right? The integrity says that a person that engages in ulterior lifestyle but has ethics, meaning they are monogamous to their partner, they are not promiscuous. These things add to your moral evaluation of them. Because if one cannot control themselves promiscuously, how can they control themselves when it comes to pedophilia? So if you can't control yourself around my girlfriend, what makes me believe that you can control yourself around my daughter, right? And so you're looking for people's moral compass to see where they are, as opposed to judging them based on a lifestyle that you may necessarily not agree with. And so this tradition allows the tattered and the wounded and the damaged to find a place to rebuild themselves. And so we do not pass judgment. One of the other things that we want to talk about is the concept of converts and lineage. Many people will hear me speak about people who have converted, and as opposed to those who have this as a cultural tradition. I don't use it as a means of to be facetious. It is just a general fact that when one has come up with certain concepts culturally through family, morals, and different things, you are indoctrinated with these ideals. When coming into Orisha, one must brainwash themselves and then be reprogrammed. So in contrast, it is hard for me to debate with someone who has only known Orisha for 10 years. In only knowing that Orisha existed in 10 years, there is no way possible someone could possibly understand all of the implications of the symbolism and the behavior of certain deities, in contrast to someone who is grown in the tradition, where it is second nature. They are not being reprogrammed, they are only being programmed. And so you may hear me speak about converts, and I say that because there is a lack of respect for the information. When one comes into these traditions, let's give an example. A person may come into contact, they may have had a consultation, a reading, they may have had a bath, they may have conducted a few sacrifices with the assistance of the person who may be navigating for them, albeit a godparent, godmother, or babalao. The person comes into contact with these traditions, they have 5 years as a novice. In those 5 years, they come to ceremonies, they're around the people, and within those 5 years, they make the commitment to become initiated. So now that they are initiated, let's say 10 years goes by. And in those 10 years, they've only had 15 years in total experience with Orisha true customs and traditions and rituals. It would be insulting for that person who has 15 years experience to then speak to someone who may only be 20 but had 20 years of unadulterated experience. They've, from the ground up, they don't know anything else. They've never had to been corrected. Their pronunciation, their comprehension of the behavior and the rituals is intrinsic to who they are. It would be impossible for the person with 15 years experience to have more insight than the person who is 20 years naturally within the tradition. And so what we see today is people converting to these traditions and then having a say-so about the customs of the tradition. So a person converts to this and then they say, well, I don't like the fact that women can't perform this ceremony. Why is that? And so because the answer isn't given to them that serves their ego or their whatever ideals or perspectives that they have, if it doesn't serve that, then people seek to change. And in changing these things, they don't realize that they are going above and beyond an ancestral lineage that has gone through trial and error with such concepts. So one of the things that I want to talk about in terms of conversion is the idea that in the 21st century, the Ifa tradition has been bastardized. It has been bastardized due to the fact of cultural and gender appropriation. There was a time when you can read any book that had any Yoruba implications to it, and you would not find any insinuations or descriptions of a female babalawo or a female Ifa priest. We can go all the way back to William Bascom books that were written all the way into the 1940s. There was never a description of a female Ifa priest. When we look at the diaspora, we see places like Brazil and Cuba where the tradition was propagated mainly by women. We do not see any Ifa priests. Only in the 20th century, due to gender specific ideals, people have bended traditions to incorporate an idea of a female babalawo. Now, I understand the language enough that I understand that Yorubas speak in innuendos, but sometimes they speak very specifically. Within the language, we have inequality in terms such as Iyatobi, Babatobi, mother who gave birth, father who gave birth. Iyalosha, Babalosha, mother of my Orisha, father of my Orisha. Then we get to Babalawo And then we have Iyanifa. There was no equality in the terms, in the labels or the titles. One is a father of secrets and another one is mother of Ifa. Ifa is a verb that means to scrape. It is the scraping or the digging for the truth. So it is hard to assimilate to new era concepts that don't have any ritual nor historical support or foundation. It would be quite odd to me that for all of the women that came to the diaspora that reconstructed Orisha communities, none remembered that they had the license nor ability to manipulate Ifa.